Just hoping for dinner, I got home worn out from my second job. I was instructed instead to eat outside. I did not even merit a spot at the table. Rachel's vision still showed flickering fluorescent lights from the diner in the corners as she walked onto the porch of the house she had been trying so hard to make into a home. Her sneakers squeaked with residual grease from a 12-hour shift, her uniform smelled like fryer oil, and her shoulders sessed with more than just physical tiredness. She only wanted to get ready, settle down, and have a warm dinner. Just a tiny sliver of tranquility. But quiet greeted her as soon as she walked into the 2-story house in Columbus, Ohio. Not the silence you sought, but the kind that persisted like a warning across your chest. Matt, her spouse, stayed fixed on his plate. Like she had dragged dirt across the room, Greg, her father-in-law, sat with arms crossed at the head of the table glaring at her. In the kitchen, Barbara clinked pans with exact avoidance of Rachel's eyes. The youngest, Alyssa, lay on the couch with her phone. She giggled, wrinkling her nose and said, "Oh my God. You reek like a fried trap." Rachel stood in the entrance, not nearly across the hall yet. Her fists gripped her bag straps, her mouth opening to say anything, but Greg timed her to it. "You belong nowhere at this table looking like that," he said sharply. "Go eat outside." Rachel, really, have a little shame. Her throat closed. "I arrived from work just now." "Not even." Greg pushed his fork down hard. "Don't dispute. Maybe you should have attended college like Alyssa if you were looking for respect. See her, she is put together and ambitious. Not included in fast food greasy." Alyssa drew out her phone and snorted. She said sarcastically, "Say cheese, videotaped. Dinner for one outside the realm." Rachel looked at Matt flitting about. Her lover. The man who used to cook her late-night college peanut butter toast. She was working late. Once told by the man, "I'd take effort over pedigree any day." But tonight he hardly blinked at all. Only kept munching. And in that calm something inside Rachel broke free. Her legs stiffly moving, she walked toward the refrigerator, reached for a paper plate, and stacked cold rotisserie chicken and leftover mac and cheese. Nobody stopped her. None one said. As though she had been waiting, Barbara slid the patio door open before she even reached it. As Rachel emerged, a blast of early spring air assaulted her face. Her door closed with a stinging finality. She just sat on the fading patio chair by herself. Above flickering was the porch light. Somewhere in far, a swing groaned. Inside, laughing permeated the blinds only slightly. Her shadow was nowhere in the dancing glow of the dining room on the glass. Her phone blipped. A Snapchat notifications. Private story, Alyssa, camera with flash, table for losers outside. Rachel fixed her eyes on the TV. At the plate on her lap next. Then next to the window. Something like this had not been unprecedented. Still, it was the first time it felt like this, all in on it. Not including Matt. Matt especially. She considered all the evenings she had returned home carrying food. Matt was too busy, she said, so she refilled the family car, handled insurance calls, or asked her to assist with online forms or locate Greg's missing tax records. She had never turned down an invitation. Never exactly once. And then now. She ate without tasting a bit. She stood and moved silently to the sliding door. Tipped twice. Nothing. Tried once more. Quietness. She gave a more forceful knock. Alyssa waved mockingly, then mouthed, "Bye, loser," and closed the curtain once again with a flourish. Rachel opened the garage code, strolled to the side gate, and sank into the night. Inside the house hummed with coziness. She moved through like a ghost nobody else noticed. Greg raised hardly a glance. Something on her phone made Alyssa chuckle. Sitting back in his chair, Matt drank Coke. She turned aside them. "You better clean up before walking around this house," Barbara said. Greg said, "She wants to live like a bum." Let her be. Nobody stopped her on her stair climbing. Her fingers shook as she turned the knob to the guest room they let her use, no, not let, assigned her after moving in. She momentarily stood in the middle of the room. She then quietly opened her wardrobe, grabbed a duffel bag, and started packing. She stayed silent. Not one drop of tears. Rather, her limbs grew strangely quiet. She arranged 2 shirts. Grasped her laptop. She had charges. She hadn't opened a paperback book in weeks. She then sent Lester a text. Me, hi. Could I crash for a little? Lester, sure. You okay? Me, I am going to be. She packed her luggage zippered. She listened to whispers outside her door. Sharp and amused, Alyssa said, did you see her face? She appeared as though someone had pilfers her dumpster. Matt followed. Subdued. Neither defending, though. Not one once. Rachel grasped the handle harder. She opened the door, descended the steps, and headed for the front door. Greg got to stand. Until you straighten this act, you're not going anywhere. Rachel fixed him with her eyes. Simply stared. And he turned aside silently as well. Again raising her phone was Alyssa. I am so uploading this. Rachel stayed still. Looked forward rather than backwards. Eyes never straying from the window, Barbara was at the sink polishing the same dish 3 times. Rachel got out. Put the door behind her closed. And she understood this as she stood on the porch, the night air thick about her. Inside her something had just cracked. Maybe it did, though, depending on things. She left the porch, her foot pointing toward the curb where a rideshare would show up any time. Not one person yelled behind her. She also refused to wait for them to. For Rachel, Lester's apartment felt like a haven, even though it was 1-bedroom walk-up with creaky floors and second-hand furniture. Nobody yells. Nobody kept an eye on her eating. When she talked, none rolled their eyes. Stay as long as you need, he remarked after throwing her an additional key. Explain nothing unless you really want to. She avoided. For the first several days, Rachel floated. Awoke late. Missed texts. Her phone blazed with missed calls, a few from Barbara, 1 or 2 from Alyssa, and several from Matt. None mentioned, though, I'm sorry, simply said, did you pick up the charger, sometimes known as, the trash isn't getting picked up. Did you postpone something? She turned aside all of them. By the end of the week Rachel began to see things more clearly. She was already good with tech, hence all the household bills, those they piled on her, were in her name. Power, water, garbage, internet, even the Costco membership. They said, we'll split everything, when she moved in, but she remembered alone setting up the accounts. This is what families do, she had considered. We rely on one another. Right now she seems to have been duped into maintaining the whole system so they might minimize her for bearing weight. They hardly even said goodbye as she went. Rachel grabbed her laptop and pulled every login. Electric is it? Still going under her name. Wi-Fi here. Automatically renewing with her debit card. House insurance. Connected to her former phone number. She stopped, fingers floated across the keyboard. She then began to bring everything down. I started first online. She stopped the automatic payment and changed the password. Cancelled trash pickup. The coverage of insurance. Expired tonight at midnight. Account for grocery delivery. Not closed. Online streaming services. Not logged on all devices. She was not acting petty here. She was recovering her rightfully owned property. She got her first call from Matt early the following morning. She let it run through her. Voicemail burst on screen. Matt said, hey, I believe the router is malfunctioning. While Alyssa is panicking and my dad is blaming the storm, I believe you could call Spectrum or anything. She gave it 2 turns. Subsequently erased it. That afternoon, Greg texted her straightforwardly. Greg, you are fooling yourself here. Come home and straighten the mess you made. Rachel answered simply once. You claimed I belonged nowhere in the family. You can now really see what that entails. Everybody answered nothing. Days went by. Lester noted her silence even while she was smiling. Over dinner, one evening he inquired, Do you regret leaving? Rachel looked down into her noodles. I regret allowing them to treat me for so long as furniture. But no. Walking out the door makes me not regret it. She received a message from a number she couldn't identify the next evening. Steve, the neighbor, Hi Rachel, hope you're doing good. Greg requested whether you would come have a look at the backyard fence. Said you handled that material really well. You're here coming. She blinked. Removed. Then Alyssa came first. Sent a wall of books from a new number. Okay, quite seriously. You replaced the grocery login system. Nothing was kept stocked and I had visitors. You have made a valid point. Simply fix it. Rachel returned with just one emoji, like. Alyssa blocked her then wrote, You're a literal child, a minute later. She cleared her path. Emailed a picture of the shattered kitchen sink. Then she blocked her once more. Turning off alerts, Rachel drank her tea. Her mailbox, meantime, hummed with another, emails from former neighbors. Parents from the gym circle of Alyssa. 2 women from Greg's country club even. They inquired about whether she was working side jobs, configuring routers, maintaining tech, handling invoices. She confirmed yes. At a cost. Quick word spread. She booked completely by week 3. Matt then made the call. He seemed worn out. Ratch. I never realized things would get this terrible. The house is about to break apart. I'm being blamed by Dad for everything. Could you simply return? Alternatively at least assist. You handled things always so well. She let the quiet hang around. Then, I loved you, and I handled everything. And I assumed you would speak out on my behalf. Rather, you watched them treat me as a stranger in my own house. I knew not how to stop them. You didn't even try. She paused. Rachel changed every one of her passwords to 2-factor authentication that evening. Renamed her phone number. Only kept one backup email for a real emergency. Barbara sent an email. Subject, dinner. Human. Matt is really struggling. Though I know you're hurt, I hope you will show up. Just for supper. We are missing you. Apologize not. Just necessary. Rachel stared at the screen for some time. Eventually archived it. Opening a fresh post on her tech page, she typed. Not fit for family labor. My piece is this. She hit post. Somewhere amid Lester's apartment's subdued buzz, something inside her at last settled. Their discomfort drove them to call, not because they were sorry. And for once, that was not her challenge to address. Rachel left that house a month ago and she was no more invisible. She had 5 consistent customers, a part-time contract with a nearby bakery to handle their web services, and enough savings to begin looking into Athens' surrounding studio buildings. Her hands smelled nothing like fryer oil now. Her head stopped throbbing silently with resentment. Her phone remained silent until it did not. She was refilling Ethernet cables at an electronics retailer that Saturday when Lester beckoned her over with furrowed eyebrows. Hey, you might want to check your email. She went to get her phone. Subject, Family Matter Urgent. From, Matt Carter. She sighed. She had disregarded every note Greg and Barbara sent. Matt, but she used him to fantasize of growing old with. She pressed a click. Laura. I know things turned out poorly. I should have argued for you. I apologize for allowing them to treat you in that manner. Is it possible for us to talk? Simply coffee. None of pressure. Matt's. She peered at it for some time. It was not a pardon. It was a call for help. She still craved to hear what he had to say, though. Clothes, perhaps. She agreed to see him at the Brew Corner, a neutral local cafe Tuesday. He showed up early, same fragrance, same gentle grin, the kind he used when he needed something. As Rachel sat down, he said, "Rachel. You look nice. Let us skip the charm, Matt." He slumped. Okay. I will be sincere. The house is disorganized. Every day my parents are fighting. The Wi-Fi never works and Alyssa cannot stream, hence she moved in with her boyfriend. Dad's customers are bailing, some of them might be using your services right now. Rachel raised her arms in a fold. You mentioned you were wanting to chat. This sounds to be a report. He leaned forward. I am aware of your anger. I qualify for that. But this has gone far enough. Far enough for someone else. You are. Or the ego of your dad. Blinking, he seemed surprised. Ratch. No, she answered sharply. You witnessed them treat me like trash. You were seated there when they laughed at me. Let them lock me out of my own house. I neglected to lock the door. But you neglected opening it as well. Frustration seeping in, Matt rubbed his hands together. Look, I sought to maintain harmony. More drama appealed to me not. You kept the peace by giving me up. I kept the peace for the family, he said sharply. I thought you wouldn't be this dramatic. Rachel still traveled slowly. Right there it was. Matt, the real one. He kept going, louder now, seeing her quiet. Do you know how much harder it has been without you? You had everything arranged and simply, what? Turned off the power to demonstrate something. She moved her cup down. You did not invite me here for closure. You aimed for a reset button. You reasoned that I would come running back to mend what you broke if you seemed to be sorry. He laughed bitterly. Not flatter yourself. She gave a not very friendly smile. Just enough to say I see you right now. Thanks for validating what I thought. You never found me. Only my use. Red crawling up his neck, Matt stood up. You believe you are better now? Hurrying about mending Wi-Fi for boomers? Rachel also stood. No, Matt. I know I am better right now. I no longer spend every day wishing a man who watches me humiliated one day defending me. She passed him and turned left out the door. He ignored. She stuffed her last bag back at Lester's apartment. That morning her lease on her new studio began. Her phone rang once more as she zipped the duffel shut. Alyssa. I advised Matt against trusting you. You were always ready to act the victim. Value your alone time. Rachel graced her smile. Not sour. Not depressingly. Simply free. Her answer consisted just one word. She already am. And it's peaceful. She then blocks the number. That evening she settled into her new place. A comfortable apartment above a flower store with large windows, lemon-colored walls, and no one ringing her door except invited. She put something on her client board the following day. Now accepting tech support bookings, no family referrals, please. The reviews arrived one after another. Countable. Professionals. Cutting sharp. Sweetheart. Not one among them mentioned failure. She received one last note 2 weeks later. From Barbara came it. I am sorry, Rachel, generally for everything. You were better than we ever deserved. No inquiries. There are no questions. Exactly words. Rachel said nothing. Rather, she printed it, folded it, and stashed it inside a drawer designated closure. Then she left, locked the door behind her, and headed for her next appointment, a house with a malfunctioning printer and a woman who had given coffee and thanks instead of quiet and guilt. She once thought of love as about compromise. It was admirable to keep quiet, be helpful, and carry responsibilities without grumbling. Given enough, they would see her value. Eventually, they would say thank you if she lived long enough. But Rachel Carter knows better these days. Love without of respect is simply sentimentality disguised in dependency. And a house full of witnesses is family without protection. They did not call out loud. She was not screamed at by them. When she wounded, though, they laughed. They documented her suffering. She knocked and they locked the door. And her spouse, the guy she promised to start a life with, saw her as disposable. Those quiet. It resembled no insult in loudness. One night she slept on Lester's couch and heard it. It accompanied her through the week. She cancelled every account maintaining her life running. Matt's voice reflected it when he said, "You're being dramatic." And inside her at last something clicked. She wasn't damaged. She didn't act dramatically. She was not the failed person they spoke of behind her back. She was the only one working, she was also the only one courageous enough to stop. She had paid for stability, given them serenity for years, and repented for living too loudly. But when she at last departed, they pursued her out of desperation rather than out of love. They lost the ease of use. Not the relation. She also didn't yell when Matt tried to be kind, when Barbara delivered flowers without a note, when Greg called from an unidentified number acting as a neighbor seeking tech support. Her heart did not block them with fire. She exactly let off. She made the choice for herself. She chose mornings without anxiety, evenings without conflict, and a house where the Wi-Fi might be slow but no one banged the door. Her value was based on her treatment of herself when no one else did, not on who most needed her. One type of tranquility exists in not waiting for an apology. A sort of dignity that develops when you leave not to punish but to defend. Rachel as well. She shields her peace now, much as she would have shielded a family never deserving of her. She still stores the last email from Barbara in a closure labeled drawer. She closed it not too long ago. Since the truth is that she need not reevaluate regret to support her choice. She exists it. Each time a client appreciates her. Every time she closes her own personal door. Every evening she silently eats dinner and experiences fullness from serenity rather than from food. And perhaps one day Matt will find the silence has shifted while seated at that same dinner table. It isn't heavy anymore. It is only empty. Since her return is not forthcoming. And this time they had to sit in it. Know this, if this narrative speaks to something inside you, that you have always been the one keeping everything together only to be told you did not belong. You sure do. Not because of their words. But thanks for doing so. Always carry. Always will. Should this narrative appeal to you, kindly mark a 1. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe to Soul Time Reddit, where quiet bravery, hard truths, and true tales always find their voice again.